So, after beating Manchester City and Arsenal, everyone's suddenly calling Fulham an easy game. People expect United to dominate Marco Silva's side for 90 minutes. But that assumption might undo everything Michael Carrick has built so far, because what I'm about to show you is why Fulham are nothing like City or Arsenal, and why Marco Silva's system is the most dangerous problem Michael Carrick will face as United manager. And if Carrick gets this one wrong, Fulham won't just take points, they'll expose the cracks everyone's pretending aren't there. The City and Arsenal wins have given United massive momentum, but Carrick can't rely on momentum alone. To see why Fulham could be different, we need to look at how United exploited two of the league's toughest opponents, and why those tactics won't automatically work against Silva's side. Against Arsenal and City, United didn't just win, they thrived on chaos and low possession. Arsenal spent the season perfecting an aggressive morph from a 4-3-3 into a 3-2-5 in possession, committing 5 bodies forward but leaving themselves vulnerable when the ball was lost. Carrick exploited those vacated corridors perfectly. Pep's City, meanwhile, squeezed the pitch so high their center backs were practically in the midfield. And again, Carrick waited for the transitions to strike. Fulham, though, won't give United that space or make the same mistakes. Marco Silva's compact, disciplined setup will force Carrick to create openings rather than wait for them. And that's exactly why Fulham are dangerous, because they remove the chaos United have been feeding on. What I'm about to show you next is Marco Silva's highly disciplined defensive setup, a system that has quietly become one of the most frustrating walls in the Premier League. See, Silva doesn't play the big six game. He's not going to try and outpossess you or leave his center back stranded on the halfway line. Instead, he's going to lean into the structural rigidity of his 4-2-3-1. Guess what? Carrick deploys the same formation. While Arsenal and City were busy morphing and leaving the back door open, Fulham keeps it double-bolted. Silva utilizes a disruptive double pivot, using the physicality of Berge and the tactical discipline of Sasa Lukic as a permanent zonal screen. As the two holding midfielders in that 4-2-3-1, their entire job is to sit in the shadow of United's attackers and completely erase the passing lanes to Bruno Fernandes. If Carrick tries to use the same wait-and-strike blueprint he used against Pep, he's going to be waiting forever because that shield isn't moving. Against Fulham, the burden of creativity shifts 100% onto United. For Carrick to win, he has to do the one thing he hasn't truly mastered yet. I'll get to that in a sec. But most importantly, he needs to switch from being the master of transitions to a master of manipulation. If he doesn't find a way to drag those Fulham center backs out of position, United will spend 90 minutes passing the ball U-shaped around the box, only to get hit by a Harry Wilson or Alex Iwobi sucker punch at the other end. So how does he do it? To beat Silva, Carrick has to solve a puzzle he knows intimately because in many ways he's playing against a tactical mirror. Marco Silva and Michael Carrick both live and die by the 4-2-3-1. This isn't a clash of opposing philosophies, it's a structural stalemate. Just as Silva relies on a disciplined double pivot to anchor his midfield, Carrick has built his United resurgent on the partnership of Kobbie Mainoo and Casemiro. When two well-drilled 4-2-3-1 systems collide, the pitch becomes a series of 1v1 duels that can cancel each other out for 90 minutes. But here is where the logic gets dangerous. To break that symmetry, Carrick might be tempted to reach into the tactical toolkit and revive a 3-2-5 attacking morph. Now the skeptics will say, wait a minute, Arteta used that exact 3-2-5 against United and got dismantled on the counter. Why would Carrick adopt the very system he just proved is vulnerable? It sounds like a paradox, but the answer lies in intent. Arteta used the 3-2-5 to occupy the final third, which left his back door wide open. For Carrick to beat Silva, he can't use it to camp, he has to use it as a decoy. Against Silva's double pivot of Berge and Sasa Lukic, a static 4-2-3-1 won't work because those two are masters of central suffocation. Their entire job is to sit in the shadow of United's attackers and erase the passing lanes to Bruno. To break them, Carrick needs to use controlled provocation. He needs Mainoo specifically to abandon his deep station and late arrive into a box midfield. He's not looking to stand there, he's looking to trigger a choice. If Berge steps up to engage Mainoo's late run, the lane to Bruno opens. If he stays, Mainoo has the time to find Matheus Cunha or Ahmad, who Carrick must instruct to stay wider for longer, physically stretching Silva's fullbacks out of their comfort zone. But Carrick only has to look at last week to see the risks of this gamble. Marco Silva just manhandled a high-flying Brighton side that uses this exact 4-2-3-1 to 3-2-5 hybrid. Brighton did everything by the book. They inverted their fullbacks, they created the box midfield, and Silva absolutely loved it. He sat in his mid-block, waited for Brighton's central overload to get cocky, and then used Iwobi to exploit the space left behind by their advancing defenders. So how does Carrick win where Brighton failed? It comes down to rest prophylaxis, the defensive structure you keep while you're attacking. To make this gamble work, Carrick cannot allow his 3-2-5 to become top-heavy. If he sends both fullbacks high or inverts them simultaneously like Hurtzeler did, he's dead. The Carrick masterstroke has to be asymmetry. Instead of a full system shift, he needs a sliding back three. When Mainoo pushes up to provoke Berge and Lukic, Casemiro must drop deeper, almost between the center backs, while one fullback stays disciplined as a third defender. This creates a 3-1-6 or a 3-2-5 that is bottom-heavy enough to kill the Fulham counter before it starts. He also needs to change the speed of the rotation. Brighton's movements were scripted and slow. Carrick needs United to play slow, fast, circulate the ball at a testimonial pace to put Fulham's pivot to sleep. Then, the moment Mainoo or Bruno find a pocket, explode into a vertical sprint. To win this, Carrick doesn't just need to be a tactician, he needs to be a poker player. He has to bait Fulham into thinking United are overcommitting, only to keep the back door double locked. If he manages to provoke Fulham out of their shell without losing his defensive shape, he doesn't just win the game, he proves his tactical ceiling is higher than any interim manager we've seen in a decade. If Manchester United win, it will look like this. Carrick manages to sustain pressure without overcommitting. We see Kobbie Mainoo or Bruno Fernandes find that one killer pass that splits Fulham center backs early on. If United score in the first 20 minutes, it forces Marco Silva to abandon the low block and come out to play. That is exactly what Carrick wants. Once Fulham expands, United's transition monsters, the players who just destroyed City and Arsenal, will have the space they crave to turn a 1-0 lead into a 3-0 statement. However, if Fulham pull off the upset again, the script is familiar. It starts with United frustration. 60 minutes in, 70% possession, but 0 shots on target. We see United's fullbacks pushing higher and higher out of desperation, leaving Harry Maguire or Lisandro Martinez isolated. One misplaced pass in the midfield, and Fulham's snap-back counterattack, led by the pace of Iwobi or the clinical finishing of Rodrigo Muniz, finds the net. Ultimately, this game isn't just about who has the better players, it's about who blinks first. The fans at Old Trafford aren't just looking for another 3 points, they're looking for a reason to demand the board make Michael Carrick permanent. They want to see a coach who doesn't just survive the storm, but one who can control the weather. We're past the debate of whether Carrick should stay at the wheel. The results speak for themselves. The real question is, can he handle the silence of a low block as well as he handled the noise of a derby? Is this an easy 3 points, or is it a trap? I'll be in the comments. If you want to see exactly why Mainoo is the key to this entire tactical evolution, make sure you hit subscribe for my next deep dive. Thanks for watching.